says about polls. Join us now to talk about last night's elections and the current battle over those spending bills, President Biden's spending bills, Republican Senator Rob Portman. And that's the issue, Rob. I wonder what you think it means, what happened in Virginia in general, maybe for 2022, although that's like so far away, Rob. We know how fickle things are. This pendulum swings fast, doesn't it? But what's it mean for just in general, and what does it mean for the prospects of the infrastructure bill and the reconciliation bill this week?
Joe, I think it was a victory for common sense. I mean, you look at your parent company polling over the last few days, it shows Republicans are winning on a lot of issues, including the economy. Highest numbers there in almost 3 decades. And I think that was reflected in what happened in New Jersey and Virginia last night, is that people are looking for something other than the big tax and big spend proposals that the Democrats have been making here. So it was a great race in Virginia. Glenn Youngkin ran a terrific campaign, and there were certainly a lot of Virginia issues, education issues, and others. But the national wave also helped. And you remember his polling numbers started to get a lot better when President Biden's numbers started to go down, and the numbers, particularly on the economy and particularly on inflation within the economy, began to shift. And so I think it's a good sign for common sense, meaning that let's not go forward with this big tax and spend reconciliation bill at a time when we have high inflation, and the stimulus spending in there will only make it worse, at a time when we have record debts and deficits, and at a time when, you know, the American people are saying, hey, kind of like Mayor Adams just said, he's going to be the GSD mayor, let's get stuff done. And get stuff done means you do it in a bipartisan way, not a partisan way, which is what reconciliation is. So I think it's a time for us to recalibrate here, not to move forward with this big tax and spend proposal, and focus on the infrastructure bill, which is bipartisan, which is common sense, which is counterinflationary, which will help the economy at a time when we need it. And so my hope is that that's the lesson people take from this.
In hindsight, Rob, and I know you probably read the Wall Street Journal. The Wall Street Journal is actually advising Republicans in the House to get wise to what that infrastructure bill was in the first place. And I don't think you've ever really acknowledged it as a gateway drug to the bigger human infrastructure bill, because we know now that it was linked. It says that, and you led some of the bipartisanship with the Republican Party. Journal, I can't remember how they characterized it, but almost as though you were betrayed or the rug was pulled out from Republicans that went in. When it became clear that the two were linked, and one was really just a way of getting anything that you negotiated out of the infrastructure bill ended up in the reconciliation bill, and you were played. Do you feel that way?
Well, the president has said from the start that they're separate bills and they should be delinked. Speaker Pelosi has not said that, as you know. So she's tried to link them, but she's been unsuccessful in doing it. Let's be honest. I mean, the reason that they haven't moved forward with anything is that some moderate Democrats, to their credit, have held off and not been willing to agree to the kind of proposals that the progressives in the House and in the Senate have been promoting. So far, there have been attempts to link it, but it hasn't worked. The point I've made from the start, Joe, and you and I have talked about this, is that the infrastructure bill is truly bipartisan, gave a place for moderates to land, to be for something. We also have an agreement that things that are in the infrastructure bill aren't going to be in the other legislation. So, as you said, some things have crept in there, but it has not passed in part because of that moderates have said, wait a minute, this is not the idea. So my hope now, again, is that we allow the infrastructure bill to be viewed on its own merits, bring it up for a vote. If that happens, it will pass because it has bipartisan support. It is counterinflationary at a time we have high inflation. It is going to help the economy at a time when we have low growth numbers. And it's going to be helpful in terms of moving our country forward with infrastructure, which is badly needed, as every president in modern times has said, including President Trump, President Obama, President Bush, and more recently President Biden. So let's take it up. This is a great opportunity to say, let's listen to the voters. What they've said is they don't want these huge new taxes. They don't want this huge new spending that's going to aggravate the inflationary pressures that are already out there, make it worse. Instead, let's do something that makes sense. And it wouldn't be such a bad thing for Washington to show the American people that we can actually come together on a bipartisan basis and do something that's good for the American people.